Hey, I just had my quiet time with God this morning, Jesus. And before I started my quiet time, I asked for instruction. And I really felt that Jesus was talking directly to my heart and he was instructing me in his way, um, as like a teacher would. I haven't felt this way in a really long time, and I'm really grateful for it. All I can say to Jesus is thank you. I believe that Jesus is the Word, just as John says that Jesus is the Word, and that everything in the Bible points to Jesus, and there's nothing in the Bible that Jesus hasn't proclaimed since the beginning of the world, including in his ministry here on the earth. So there's a lot of things in the Old Testament that matches up with what Jesus says in the New Testament. And again, that's not a surprise because Jesus is the Word, and the Old Testament and the New Testament is the Word. So, yeah, I read Proverbs chapter 11, verses 3 through 6 this morning, and all of it spoke to me. I'll just read it for you right now. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteous of the blameless will direct his way aright, but the wicked will fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright will deliver them, but the unfaithful will be caught by their lusts. And there's a lot in these 4 verses. And again, I just felt that Jesus was just instructing me, like really, really instructing me. So when reading Proverbs, I have to look up a lot of words to make sure I'm reading it right and taking it into the right context. But luckily, each little verse has its own theme to it, so there's a lot to get from that. But starting with verse 3, the integrity of the upright will guide them. So integrity means basically walking in a way. Well, no, that's righteousness. Integrity means having strong moral principles of what is good and what is wrong. And it says of the upright, and the upright are those with good standing, and good standing with God. So in this case, I wrote, if you obey God's commandments, then you're in good standing with God. Then you have strong moral principles, which is integrity, that will guide you toward the narrow path. And I found a lot of similarities with the narrow path. Like, narrow is the way, and difficult is the path to life, basically, what Jesus says in his Sermon on the Mount. So like that, living in good standing with the Lord and living with integrity, that will guide us in our lives. And I was thinking about Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And direct your paths to what, right? And I can't help but to think he will direct our paths to his will, his purpose for us in this world. So that's good. And the next part, but perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. So the word perverse, that basically means the unreasonable desire to, in this context, the unreasonable desire to sin, basically. And then faithful are people who are basically have strayed from God, people who are sinful. And it says that the unfaithful are people who are perverse, and that this perversity will destroy them. So basically, they're going to be destroyed by their own hand. So if I wrote this, if you don't walk according to God's standard, then you desire to sin, which is unreasonable and unacceptable. That will lead to destruction. Yeah, that will lead to destruction, since broad is the way and wide is the gate that leads to destruction. So going back to the Sermon on the Mount and what Jesus says, it's like, wide is the gate and broad is the way to destruction, something like that. So that really just stood out to me. And then verse 4, I think I did a video on this already, but riches are basically worldly things, money, anything of this world. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath. So basically, the day of wrath is the day of judgment, which we are all going to be judged according to our sins, except for those who are righteous, those who walk according to God, those who walk in a way that is acceptable to God. So that's why it says in the next part, but righteousness delivers from death. So if we are judged according to our sins, and we're not walking righteously in this lifetime, then we'll basically be going to hell, which is eternal separation from God. But righteousness that delivers us from that, which is good, that God gave us a way out. We have to walk righteously before him. So verse 5, the righteousness of the blameless. So the blameless are people who are blameless for sin, like they don't sin, will direct his way aright. So the word aright here means correctly, in a correct way. So this verse is saying, like, the blameless are people who are righteous, that walk according to God's standards. And if we all walk according to God's standards all the time, then there is no way that we will sin. We will be blameless. And it says it will direct us, just like Proverbs says that if we trust in God, God will guide our paths, God will direct our paths, will direct his way aright. So God will direct us to a path that is correct, which is, again, amazing. And what is the right way, right? What is the correct way? And the correct way is the good way, the righteous way, the blameless way, the upright way, God's way. And then in the next verse, next part, it says, but the wicked will fall by his own wickedness. So the wicked will basically destroy themselves, like I said before. Verse 6, the righteousness of the upright will deliver them. Deliver them from what, right? Deliver them from the ways of evil into the ways of life, into God's will, into God's purpose for us in this world, to live a full and abundant life. So that's what walking righteousness will lead us to. And then in the next part, but the unfaithful, remember, unfaithful to God, will be caught by their lusts. Again, so people who are unfaithful, people who are wicked, basically people who are evil and sinful, they will be caught in their own lusts. So again, they will destroy themselves. And the word lust here usually means it's like a strong sexual desire. But the word lust here, putting it into its context, is basically the lust of the flesh, the lust of this world, and to seek things of this world, to not seek God, and having a strong desire to do that, basically having a strong desire to sin. So basically, sinful people, especially those who have a strong desire to sin, will be destroyed by their own hand. So yeah, I mean, it just clicked for me this morning, but hope you got something from this video. It's not a traditional video that I would do, but I think I like this more. I'm doing this one on my first take, and I'm not walking to work, and it's right after my quiet time too. So yeah, now I have to head into work a little bit early. Hopefully I have time. Well, I'll see you in the next video. Adios.